Hello and welcome to today's reflection. I'm Julie Butcher, curate at Holy Trinity and St Michael and All Angels. Today we're continuing our journey through Luke's Gospel, and today we have the parable of the rich fool, which Luke tells us in chapter 12, verses 13 to 21. Someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the family inheritance with me." But he said to him, "Friend, who set me to be a judge or arbiter over you?" And he said to them, "Take care, be on your guard against all kinds of greed, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of possessions." Then he told them a parable. The land of a rich man produced abundantly, and he thought to himself, "What should I do? For I have no place to store my crops." Then he said, "I will do this. I will pull down my barns and build larger ones, and there I will store all my grain, my goods. And I will say to my soul, so you have ample goods laid up for many years. Relax, eat, drink, be merry." But God said to him, "You fool, this very night your life is being demanded of you, and the things you have prepared, whose will they be? So it is for those who store up treasure for themselves, but are not rich towards God." And this is the word of the Lord. Well, a bit of a timely passage for me, actually, as I plan to sit down with my brother in the coming weeks and settle my mum's estate. In this story, the two brothers are disputing over how much each should get from the family inheritance. I believe rabbis at the time would often arbitrate on these issues in families and offer judgment on them. But to this man's disappointment, Jesus isn't prepared to use his authority to settle this. No, he sees an opportunity for a more important lesson to be shared. And so he tells this parable of the foolish rich farmer to highlight the problem of greed, reminding his listeners then and now that one's life does not consist in the abundance of possessions. Jesus calls the rich man's actions foolish because he's forgotten that life is not just about him, but it's about me with others. The rich person viewed his life as all about him. He cared little about the wider community, the poor, and even the animals that would have benefited from his grand harvest. He thought his wealth was all about him. After all, he'd worked for it. It was his. In his worldview, limitless possessions was the goal of his life, to have and to have more. "I will pull down my barns and build larger ones, and there I will store all my grain and goods. And I will say to my soul, so you have ample goods laid up for many years. Relax, eat, drink, and be merry." The farmer had become preoccupied with money and possessions. Look at how often he uses the word "I." Yes, it's definitely all about him, isn't it? The well-being of the community or even his own family didn't matter to him. Storing up and saving what he had for himself was what it was all about. Of course, at the end of the story, God laughs, doesn't he, and says, well, tonight your life's demanded of you. He's going to return to the dust from which he came, isn't he? He's not going to be able to keep all these stored goods. They will go to others who, maybe ironically, like the man at the crowd in the beginning of the story, will argue about them. There's no reflection here in this man of the gratitude for the abundance of the land which God has provided him. No understanding of the need to recognize our interconnectedness with the earth, our need to care for our world and its inhabitants, to share that which we've received abundantly from God. As I read this story again, I was reminded of the prayer we used to say sometimes at the offertory in church. Do you remember? Maybe you remember it. "Yours, Lord, is the greatness, the power, the glory, the splendor, and the majesty. For everything in heaven and on earth is yours." And the response was, "All things come from you, and of your own do we give you. Of course, that's derived from a quote from the Book of Chronicles. So maybe if we look at our wealth in this way, we might be able to hold less tightly to it and avoid it becoming something which distracts us from God as we worry about it and how we'll keep it and look after it. And being less worried about it, we might be able to share it a little bit more in line with this teaching and thereby be rich to God as we honour all that we've been given as a gift to be shared. So let's finish with the collect for this week. God of truth, help us to keep your law of love and to walk in ways of wisdom, that we may find true life in Jesus Christ, your Son. Amen. And I hope you have a good day. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.